Hey guys, welcome back to the Interceptor. We're here with another Alliance War video, and this is going to be Alliance War Season 60, Number 11, and AOH has matched up against an Asian alliance. They are sitting in Platinum 1 currently, however, they are not one of the Asian alliances we are familiar with that we commonly face. There are two, and they both have like their little code. I don't know what it's called exactly, like the little name that you see right there is in some language. I don't know what language it's in, and then their alliance names in English. This is not one of those, so this is an alliance we are not familiar with. All we knew about them is that they were in Platinum 1, and it's a bit of a mismatch, but also we've basically faced every other alliance that's either above us or closely below us, so it wasn't a surprise to us that we got a mismatch, but we expect to get a match within the top 10 for our War 12, and we are actually bringing Void for the first time, because I took Void to rank 3 probably about 3 or 4 seasons ago, just because I just duped him. He's SIG 20, and I didn't use him on offense a ton, and his SIG does not matter on defense, it's only for offense. So yeah, we're able to bring him just because I needed a counter that can take this Rintrah. There were multiple other counters. In fact, I technically could have just brought a synergy for Hood and used Hood for this fight, but I didn't feel like it, so I didn't. And as you can see, I'm not going to need a synergy for Hood in this war because I'm only using him for 2 fights. We're going to have enough bullets. There is one point in this fight, I believe right here, where I'm going to get hit. So yeah, I slowed it down, and I just dex out of his L1 early, and I get clipped. Doesn't crit. Even if it did crit, it probably would have brought me to like 30% because I had 0 ruptures on me. So yeah, I was never close to dying in this fight. Just a bit of a slog. It's going to be like a 3-minute fight. Got to go for a bunch of extra heavies. The power gain node does nothing because I actually reversed the power gain most of the fight. But yeah, pretty nice fight. I don't really mind because this is Void's only fight. I don't mind that I got hit by that L2. And I did take a few tactic bursts in this fight when Rintrah refused to throw a special, but here he's going to go down a little bit over 3 minutes, but spoiler alert, this war is not going to come down to time. And yeah, we're going to move on to the next fight. We have an Angela fight here, one of 2 Angela fights in this war. It is going to be Adam Warlock on the stun immune node, and this node probably actually makes Adam Warlock easier because as long as you don't rely on baiting out heavies by letting them beat into your block, you get an opening another way. Then the Energize just basically helps you because it means you have to go for less intercepts and you can constantly bait special ones without basically any risk, like almost nothing. We're using our 150 power back, the Mystic one, and like obviously it's not for this fight, it's for the 2 Hood fights, but I had Mystic power backs actually expiring on this account, so I hadn't bought the new one yet. Adam Warlock, yeah, we just baited a heavy, block baited a heavy, and now we're just going to intercept. We're going to throw some special ones to get more furies. Bait the special one. He's going to activate his pod at one point in this fight, but you can see we're hitting really hard, and he's at half health, only 25 seconds in, so he's not going to last very long. I'm also punching down, but I think you'll be able to tell that a rank 4 Adam would have not made this fight any different. So yeah, we did go for a stand-up intercept there, but I did know that the timing is fast enough that it would allow you to dex out if you needed to, which is what I did there. And yeah, at this point, I could have just hit him with a striker into a combo, but I think I wanted to just bait a special one, just in case I got like 0 crits on my combo, the striker and the combo, and he survives at like 1% health and starts throwing special 2s. It's safer to just bait out a special one at the beginning. So we're going to go over to Section 2 here, and we're going to be on Path 9, taking both of these Hazard Shift fights with Hood. Pretty straightforward. Neither Chavez nor Medusa counters Hood whatsoever. And yeah, this is a rank 4 Chavez here, and this fight's going to be pretty fast. Going to throw on the PS1 boost. The reason if these 2 fights were reversed and Medusa was first, there might have been an issue with bullets, but Medusa's going to give us enough bullets. I guess, no, technically it would have been the same because Medusa would have given me the same amount of bullets. Here we actually got a good amount of poisons at the start of the fight, which wasn't fun. We lost a little health from that, but now we're just going for our medium combos, trying to get into my L2 cycle. Ideally, Chavez does not throw a special in this fight, but if she does, we just miss it. Like, we would miss the first hit and then dex out of the rest. And as you can see, I'm down to 3 bullets. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to throw this L2, and then I am not going to punish with a heavy. So I'm going to bait this L2 out, and we actually got 3 misses there. So now, once this invisibility expires, I get 10 bullets back at literally 0 cost. Because I go for this heavy, 0 crits, I'm just going to block and throw a special one, and the first hit kills. So we managed to save 10 bullets to carry into the next fight, which is really, really nice, because it's just going to allow us to get a couple power steals at the start of the fight, get back to our special 2 to start the cycle. And yeah, we got to chuck a couple potions into Hood here. Not really a big deal. I see that Angela's already at full health, so I don't need to heal her up at all. So these are going to be the last potions of the war, assuming I don't die anywhere. And Medusa here, I mean, on paper it kind of makes sense. There's not many hard counters to this, because the only double immune that I can think of off the top of my head here is Prowler, and he's not one you want to use against Medusa. But Hood both counters Hazard Shift and hard counters Medusa. So, very, very easy fight. We're going to run out of bullets. Doesn't matter. I think we're going to go for this L2, and then I think I'm going to bait out the L2, if I recall correctly. No, we just heavy and it kills. Okay. There we go. Okay. Easy. I think I pulled up that by accident because I was trying to move to the next tile and it was too close to where the tile was. And I ended up needing 2 small refills to get to my fight here. My last fight of the war on my main account is going to be this Bastion on node 43, which we're going to be taking with Angela. I took this fight once. I can't remember if it was the very beginning of this season or if it was the end of last season, but it was definitely in that stretch. And I think I'm going to switch to Cosmic. Yeah, because we want to throw a couple special ones, and we might as well make it hit a little harder. We're throwing on an invuln boost here only because I had 4, and I'm definitely not going to use all 4 of those in the final war of the season. And I might as well be extra safe. The strat here is going to be, first I need to wait this out with that light there to try to waste time. And then as soon as the Fate Seal's gone, we're going to be going for parry heavies to try to crit, because whenever we crit, we're going to get an extra buff. So I dex into the heavy so that the first hit of the heavy, if it were to trigger a DOT, the DOT would be shorter. But now that I got to my L1, all I need to do is crit once, and now I have 3 debuffs, or 3 buffs on myself, because that's how it works. And now we want to bait the L2 out of Bastion. I think we're going to go for the full dex on the first one. No, okay, we go for the 2/3 dex on the first one. I think we go for the full dex on the second one. That makes more sense, yeah. I'm very comfortable doing the full dex. I'll do it in BGs. When I first learned it, I was not 100% consistent on it, and I was having to block the second hit and only dex the first and the third, but now I can reliably dex all 3, and as you can see, that was a 40k medium. Like, clearly this fight is over. I think I'm going to L1 here. I don't think it kills, but I think I just bait a heavy, and bro's dead. Yeah, so really nice fight, end at full health, really clean, and that is going to be the end of the war on my main account. So now we're going to get over to my alt account. So we have some pretty interesting matchups here, but also this is going to be the debut of my rank 4 7-star Warlock on this account, because I had a rank up. I asked my officer if we need anyone for defense, and I was already placing 4 out of 5 of my champions as rank 4s on defense, and the 5th one wasn't one that we wanted as a rank 4 because it was Penny Parker, and we placed her on the rage node, so we'd actually rather have a rank 3 placed there than a rank 4. Like, the rank up would literally hurt her on that node because she would have more health, so therefore rage would trigger less. So we want to keep it as a rank 3. So I asked if there was any attackers, and we were trying to look for someone unique, and a rank 4 we did not have that is someone we send often in war is Warlock, and he's also one of my personal favorite champions in the entire game, and I'm also missing him on my main account. I don't own Warlock, or he would probably already be rank 3, maybe rank 4. Black Panther on path 7 here is an interesting placement. The only way Black Panther would ever cause any trouble here is if he were to throw his special 1, because he does cleanse off of the special 1. However, if he never throws a special 1, he cannot shrug debuffs whatsoever, so we are going to just push him to his L2s, cycle our L2s, and unfortunately in this matchup, there's not going to be the opportunity to farm any bullets to get any back, because you can only go for your heavy attack when you know it'll kill, because if he has 10 or more charges, then he will go unstoppable after the first hit of your heavy. So you have to make sure that your heavy kills, or you will get hit and you will have his stored damage reflected. Right there, that's an opportunity I could have gone for my heavy, just because he had no charges. But there we go for our heavy. 1 minute fight, does go down, really nice. That was a rank 4 Black Panther, so we'll definitely take that. And this fight here, this is going to be Onslaught on stun, on Aggression Fury is what I meant to say. And this is a pretty straightforward fight with Hood, and this is going to be an opportunity for me to milk some bullets. So we're going to be going for a bunch of extra parries, or not parries, but block bait heavies and counter with heavy, just to get back as many bullets as I can. It's not imperative that I get a ton of bullets back here, just because my next Hood fight is also one where I'm going to have a lot of chances to go for some heavy attacks to get extra bullets back. And then I'm going to need some of those bullets for the fight after that, the next Hood fight after that. But this one, pretty straightforward. First L2 is going to remove the physical resistance, and then our Fate Seal is going to fail the Aggression Fury 65% of the time, so whenever we have it up, he's not always going to get a Fury every time the timer expires. But we're also getting some nice willpower healing from the node, so we'll definitely take that. There I wanted to go for a heavy, but I would have been too close to my L3 because he did so many hits into my block. So yeah, this is a really comfortable fight. I don't know. When I was planning, this is definitely one of the fights that I prioritize sending a good counter to, and because of how comfortable I am in the matchup of Hood versus Onslaught, I was like a billion% sure this would be a solo. There was never any doubt in my mind. Like, this was probably my the fight I was the second least worried about. Like, there's only one fight in the war I was less worried about than this one, because I knew it would be super, super easy. And it was, and I ended at almost full health. Really nice. The threat to that fight is obviously Onslaught holding his special 1 while you're trying to bait it, and then you get hit by it and you take tons of damage because of Aggression Fury. Either that or you just take a bunch of blocked hits, and because you can't parry him with everyone. Next fight here, this is probably the easiest fight of my entire war on both accounts. And this is going to be Killmonger on path 6. On the first one, this is the Fisticuffs node, and this is a really good matchup with Hood. Hood versus Killmonger is just a fantastic matchup in general, because once you get into your L2 cycle, most of your hits are going to be non-contact anyways with your L2, so you just really have to do like a couple medium attacks in between special 2s. But also we get a ton of heavy attacks off without having to take any reverb damage, and we're instantly up to almost full bullets. I think we're going to go for a heavy here, yeah, because Fisticuffs is almost up, so once it is up, we are going to be ready to activate my invisibility and start cycling. However, I think we're going to go for a couple extra heavy attacks in the middle of the cycle anyways, just to make sure that we end with full bullets, or close to it. There's really only one fight left that I need a bunch of bullets for, but we might as well be extra safe. And yeah, with that heavy attack, we're back to 42, so I'm like, okay. We go for an extra heavy attack there. That did nothing. I think that was just to push him back, so I would have the opportunity to get my invisibility back safely and go for a couple more L2s, because at this point, I think I just need one more L2, and the fight is going to be over. So we probably just throw it here. No? Okay. L2 kills. Nice. Beautiful. End with full bullets, like I said. End with 42, which is the most Hood can have. This is a scary fight. Now, I've taken this fight before. This is going to be Immortal Abomination on Path 6. This is a fight I've taken before. However, this one's different, because this one has no willpower, just like last time. However, I don't have wags, which means I'm not always going to be able to parry. The only time I'm going to be able to parry in this fight is when he places poisons on himself, either via getting hit, like on every 10th hit, or when he throws his special 1, then I'm going to be able to parry afterwards. Otherwise, I'm going to need to bait out a bunch of heavy attacks and counter it. We did, if you notice there, we did switch on our recoil setup with Warlock. We have one more Warlock fight after this, and we're also going to turn on recoils for that. But this was a rank 3, I believe. You are able to parry off the start of the fight because IA-Bomb puts a bunch of poisons on himself to start the fight, and he does purify them before your parry would land. But we're going to need to be very, very careful that we're baiting a ton of specials. We do not want to get caught in the corner with him not throwing special, because that's when the fight gets very, very scary. And I think right here, yeah, we're going to parry the second hit, go for the L2, or sorry, bait the L2, dex out of it, and then here I think we're just going to throw my L2. Yeah, nice. And then the second set of armor breaks are going to stack, and we did some really good damage there. We just have to be very careful that we continue baiting out specials, and you can safely hit into the block without ever giving him power gain, because that does not trigger, it does not count as one of the 10 hits to give him a poison. And then there, I believe our infection actually failed the power gain, although it might have been my my pacify mastery. I'm not 100% sure. No, wait. Infection only affects offensive abilities. So yeah, that would have been the pacify mastery failing the node. But had the node triggered, I was ready for it. Like, I didn't trust that parry. So yeah, we're going to go back to our no recoils setup. We're going to be going back and forth in this war, unfortunately. But it just kind of happened to work out that I had Hood fight, Warlock fight, Hood fight, Warlock fight, right? And then back to Hood fight. So next fight here is going to be Node 39 Thanos. Really, really easy fight with Hood. I don't even use a Grey boost for this one. We're going to throw in a potion just to be extra safe, but it is definitely not required, as I'm not going to lose any health in this fight. Deathless Thanos, not even using the Grey boost. I had a Grey boost left over, but I don't need it, so as you can see in this fight. But what we're going to do off the start is we are going to Dex, and then we are going to get our invisibility. So the Dex is going to match his buffs, so he stops getting power gain. And then the invisibility is going to steal the power gain from me. And as you can see, we got almost a full bar of power, which means that a second invisibility is going to get us back to another one. So here we're close enough to our L2 that we're going to start hitting. If I'd done a medium right there, then we would have gotten to the L2 in time to throw it during invisibility and get power back, but it's okay that we didn't. We're just going to make sure that we keep hitting to keep the Fate Seal or a stagger on him at all times, so that even if he does throw the special, we have nothing to worry about. But here we're just going to get back to the L2, going to keep power gaining and keep throwing those L2s. I think here we're gonna, yeah, go for another L2. That L2 was completely unnecessary because he'd already reached his protection phase and he had enough hexes on him that my heavy attack was gonna go to the next phase anyways, but I guess I was just being extra safe. Here we're gonna wait to throw our L2 until we have invisibility, because we want to cycle L2s all the way until he's down at 25%. We're gonna probably throw like 3 L2s. There we trigger the Unstoppable, but because it was in the middle of our L2, we can't get punished. That is something you can do against Thanos very safely. And yeah, I think we just need to do like one more hit right here. I was expecting that to get to protection and it didn't. So I think we do one more, still doesn't get in there. There he does. And now we just need to heavy and he's dead. So I wait out the protection, land the parry, and bro drops. So very, very, very safe. I'd say that's the best option for him there, but there's probably like long shot does it faster. I don't know. Very safe though. There's probably some options that do it faster with Odin buffs. Like maybe Kushala does it faster with Odin buffs, but Hood doesn't need them. So yeah. Next fight here, a bit of a strange matchup for Warlock because this was a very strange placement. A placement I've never seen before. Not one I was like scared of. It wasn't particularly tough to plan against, but yeah, this is going to be Count Nefaria. It is a rank 4 Count Nefaria on Mixmaster, and I'm going to take this with Warlock. He doesn't really do anything on this node, if we're being honest. You just have to alternate your hits and play it like every other Count Nefaria fight ever. He doesn't do anything here. So I have the 12% Tex on. I don't want to turn off my Mystic Power Back boost because my last fight of the war is a Hood one that the Mystic Power Back boost happened to help a lot for. But we are just going to block. We're not going to we're not going to parry because we don't want the Soul Barb to get on us. And we're just going to do our medium light combos until we're at an L2. We're going to wait until he has an infection on him, as he will have right here. And now we can go for our L2. I did know that this guy did not have the Willpower Mastery on because it is the same guy that placed the Immortal Abomination, and I had one of my other players check one of his other defenders and then send me the video so I could check for Willpower. But we're hitting really hard. Like, I think he's going to drop from our second L2, which is kind of ridiculous because this is even ranks. But I think we go medium light here, and then maybe medium light and L2 kills. Just absolutely ridiculous from Warlock. Not even an ideal matchup, no class advantage, and I can only do 2 hit combos and it's still a 50-second fight. Warlock's just so good. So now we are going up to our final fight of the war, and like I said, we're going to have to once again switch off the recoil setup and go back to our main setup. And this is going to be Node 45 Sentinel. I took him on Node 44 like 2 wars ago, and now he's here. He doesn't particularly do anything. He doesn't gain his increased ability accuracy for either the Cold Snap or the Bleed that this node has, but he only gets it for Shock and Incinerate, so unless he's placed on Node 43, he's just not going to have the increased ability accuracy. Not much to worry about. Going to cycle L2s. First L2 only got 1 Power Steal, and I'm pretty sure there's one in this fight that gets, like, there's another one that gets only 1 Power Steal, and I almost don't get back to my L2. But maybe I'm tweaking. That's also possible. Yeah, there we get like 3 Power Steals. There he throws an L1 into my block, but because he did it at the beginning of my invisibility, we have time to get back to another L2. He's at his max analysis, but I don't really care because in a fight like this, it doesn't actually do anything because he does not protect himself from my Hex Bursts because they're energy damage. They're not direct damage. And at this point, I know I'm ready to kill. I have 51 Hexes. Boom, 322k on the heavy. And that is going to be the last fight of my war. And I will just show our BG's score right here. We actually had a really good war. We only died once to their 6 in BG1. We had just a really nice, clean war. In our 1 death, the guy died with the defender at 1%, which was really unfortunate. But that did lose us the donut. And we played really well as an alliance as well. We only had 6 deaths to their 22. Not our single best war. I think we had a 5-death war earlier this season, but still a really good one. We're still very happy with how this war went. And we are now 8-3 on the season. I have just the 1 death total from, I think it was War 2. It was like War 2 or 3. It was really, really early. The Mantis versus Spider-Woman. So yeah, just the 1 death on my main, still deathless on my alt. My PSR is at 138 out of 139 fights soloed, or 99%, with my main being at 62 out of 63 fights soloed, or 98%, and my alt being at 76 out of 76. And I have, after this war, surpassed a 100 deathless streak once again, which is really nice. After this war, we are at a 110 fight deathless streak. So if we could close out the season like this, I would be very happy with how the season went, only having 1 death between my 2 accounts, but not trying to jinx anything, just hoping. And I'm at a Deathless streak of 48 fights on my main account and a streak of 89 fights on my alt account. So that is going to be all. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye.